So, uh, could you please explain why maybe you believe like selfishness should be considered a virtue, or why do you consider it a virtue?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I would say that
Mhm.
well, we only have w- would you agree with me that we only have one life to live?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Mhm.
if we only have one life to live, then the premise that I would say that we should live a good life, or we should live the best life we possibly can, since we only have one life, since we only have one life to live.
Yes.
And in that respect, then I would say that having a moral system
Mhm.
that promotes living a good life, or
Mhm.
promotes, or you could say, seizes the day, or takes like what we have in life and like squeezes the juice out of it, so we can really like make use of the time we have,
Mhm.
would be a good moral system. And
Well,
and in that context, that is how I would define selfishness: being selfish.
well, that is though okay. That's an understandable way to live, but morality is um a code of conduct of a higher scale. Like being moral means having a morale means living way in a specific way. Like nobody prevents you from living your way focused on yourself, and it's good to take care of oneself and to obviously try and maximize your own way of living, provided that that does not like takes away somebody else um wellness of life. Like as long as you don't impact negatively on somebody else's life, because then it becomes immoral, that's okay. But I don't think it could be considered moral, because to be moral it would presume some sort of upstanding conduct, and just thinking about yourself, although not harming other people, isn't exactly an exceptional way of conduct. It's a selfish way, but it's not better. It's made for your own interest, so it's neutral.
Okay, well, I would say that if you try, so I would first define morality as a, a guide on how to live a good life. So a systemic way of um, I think it's been a long day for me. My brain is not functioning
Yeah, don't worry.
as well as it could be. But I basically think I basically see morality as a guide to living good life. Meaning, it's not easy to live a good life. It's not easy to be selfish. It's not easy to seize the day. Sometimes you just wanna not work too hard and not think too hard and not think long term about your life, and just go with the flow. But
Hmm.
as but assuming we do want to like make the most out of life, then this system of morality will help us choose the right actions which would be considered moral or good for us, that we can then live a good life. That's how I would see it: a sort of guide to moral actions, or guide to the right actions to be moral.
Yes.
If you would, with regards to your point, if you were to tell me that
Hmm.
I should not think about myself, I should think about others, and by
Hmm.
context others, not like my, not like people who I love, not like my friends who I have a good time with, and
Yep.
make me live a good life, but people I will
Hmm.
never see,
Hmm.
and people who you say you speak for, then I would say that you are tricking me and w- wasting precious time and energy from my life to serve your needs and not my own.
Well, the thing is, that's the thing about morale. Morale is doing something that normal people wouldn't do. So morale is going out, like, obviously it's
So let
reasonable
me let
because we're animals.
can I
Yeah,
just clarify?
of course.
Can I just clarify
Yeah.
your point? So morale, by definition, is the opposite of doing stuff for yourself. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying, hold on. Uh, more moral is doing something that's counterintuitive. It's doing something that not many people would do, because, and that's why we look at morale in a positive way. It's like we look at heroes in a positive way because they do something that not many people are capable of doing. Now, thinking about yourself, although thinking intelligently about yourself is difficult, but it's difficult because you risk ending up in immoral circles, like being undisciplined or being lazy. Like, you're not optimizing what's good for you, but you don't do it out of, like, neutrality. You do it because you have bad habits. But logically, since we are humans and are logical and animals, and our logical process is thinking about ourselves, like, we have to maximize ourselves, our survival, and that's the basics. So you can't really expect to say, like, thinking about myself, which should be the basis of every human being because that's the basic of survival, should be looked at in an exceptional way because that's what everybody is supposed to do. You look at something incredibly, which, as you said, is helping somebody, which I have no ties, I gain no benefit. Like, it's doing something because I feel it is right to do something, like to help somebody else, where I stand nothing to gain. There is no benefit, and that's exactly what's make it moral. You have nothing to gain from it other than just doing the right thing. Well, you believe it's the right thing, at least.
Okay, I understand. So, well, like I would say this. I'm not. Maybe we can define your version of morality a little bit better, or at least I can repeat it in a way that we both agree on. But
Yeah.
I would say certainly like maybe I could insert the word rational. If I were to rationally consider my life and how to live a good life, then certainly, you know, sitting around and eating tubs of ice cream all day long, not leaving the house, not looking for work and stuff like that would maybe be fun in the short term, but in the medium to long term will be very painful and not let me have a good life. It would make me probably sad and probably in pain. I'm sure that during the eating of ice cream to some point it was fun, but to the medium or on long term, it's not a good way to live my life. You would probably agree. So
Yes.
so more even in this realm of what actions should I take, it's like, well, if you want to take a more long term view, and again, there's like a balance between long and short term. Like I can obviously have fun during the day. I don't have to be like a robot and constantly think long term. But to some degree, if I want to have a happy life in the long term, then there are some long term considerations that I should consider, and if they include small sacrifices in the short term for larger gain in the small sacrifices in the short term
Hmm.
for larger gain in the long term, then it's something I should seriously consider doing because I would overall have a more happy life.
Yes.
With regards to doing stuff without any benefit for other people, you're asking me to sacrifice myself because you have a moral system. Now, in addition to that, I would say that if you were to make the claim and I would
Hmm.
feel good about it, right?
Hmm.
Um, and let's say if I help a person and like that I've never met before and they were in a really serious need and I could help them. It's not like a it's not like a huge deal to me to help them at that particular moment in time, and I choose to help them. Then I perhaps get the reward of helping a person and interacting and meeting a new friend that I could perhaps, you know, spend some time in the future with. But there's some sort of relationship. If you say I should help someone, I never see them and I don't get any benefit from them, I would say that you are tricking me. I would say that you're manipulating my being. And on top of that, if I were to somehow absorb this system of morality and internally I would feel good when I'm helping someone that I've never met, will never see, and I just sacrificed part of my either resources or time or whatever, then you've hijacked my internal moral system. Because if I were to say, for example, let's go back to the
Yep.
example of the ice cream. If I were to say that eating ice cream in
Mhm.
large amounts is bad, if I think about it, and eating, I don't know, salad is good, then I thought about it rationally, and I planned, my diet. Then whenever I eat salad, I'll feel good, and then whenever I eat ice cream, I'll feel not so good, but or maybe I'll feel good because it actually has some pleasure senses in my brain. But I won't. But if I eat too much, I'll feel bad because I've programmed myself that this is a bad choice for me. It's an immoral choice for me in the long term, for me personally.
Mhm. Yeah.
If I were to get in a situation where I feel good helping someone that I'll never meet, never see, then you've kind of rationalized something in me, and you've hijacked my moral system for me to sacrifice myself. I would say that's manipulative. And in addition,
Well,
one other point. In addition, I would say that while you're manipulating my moral system in my life, there will always be some sort of leader who says, for you to be moral, you should do these things. And part of those things they'll say to benefit other people, but part of those things they'll benefit themselves as the leaders who decide what is moral and what isn't. So I think it's a very dangerous territory.
okay, I understand. Well, first of all, I am not. I understand. Probably you weren't talking about me specifically, but yeah, I'm
Yes, I
not
did
forcing.
not you
Yeah,
specifically. Yeah.
yeah, I know, but I'm not trying to force like a concept of morale. I'm just explaining that uh, society conceived morals because it is just simple. It is simple logic. Like everybody real acts in a specific way, and the outlier obviously stands out, and so you're like, it's like someone that goes to the gym. Obviously going to the gym takes discipline, it takes a diet, it takes effort, so a lot of people don't want to go through all of that because they can't be bothered, because it's tiring, because they have other stuff to do. But when you see someone that goes to the gym, you're like, okay, he works out, he spends that time, he invests time to take care of himself, and so I respect that because he's doing something that it's hard for me to do. And so there is this sort of respect. And so morals are these qualities that we observe in other people, and they're like, wow, I don't know if I could do that, because again, helping that person that I don't know nothing about gives me no benefit, it helps me in no way.
Well, okay, wait.
So
I need to. Sorry,
yeah,
I don't mean to interrupt because you didn't
yes, of
interrupt
course,
me. I think you need to draw a distinction here
yeah,
between people improve themselves and people who help other people.
yeah. But the thing, the gym was an example, but you don't look at somebody who goes to the gym because he just because of that. You look at him because he has a quality, which is discipline, which is considered a virtue. So because it's a good habit that
Right.
makes you better in some way. Just like people look at altruism in a good way. Why? Because it's something that a lot of people don't do. Because as you said, why should I take time out of my day, resources that I could invest in myself, and invest them in somebody else when I gain no benefit? There is no reason to do that. It's just that somebody did it because it felt right for them, which doesn't mean it has to feel right to everybody. It's just a logical thing. Like if I see somebody that, I don't know, lifts 300 kilograms off the ground, I'm like, I can't do that. I probably wouldn't be able to do that. So it impresses me because somebody is doing something that I believe is impossible for my person. And so obviously I'm drawn to that. And so things like altruism that benefits others other than myself, it's counterintuitive because, as you said, there is no point, but it's something that triggers me, something like admiration in some way. And that's why it's called a virtue, because it's something that's like, wow, why would you do it?
So I would say that someone working out and being successful working out is impressive
Mm,
to you because they've achieved
mm,
something difficult that you value to some degree,
mm,
and you're like, well, I may also want to achieve the same thing, and perhaps then you go over and talk to that person and say, well, if you want to achieve these things, you have to do A, B, C, and D. And if it's of value to you, then you'll try to achieve what they've achieved based on their experience and something else. But if for example it's too much of a sacrifice versus other values that you have, you may write, well, I may only take it to a certain point. I admire it. They definitely put hard work in, but I'm in a situation where I can only take it to a certain point. Now, with regards to that's to one side. That's self improvement. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. I have no issue. With regards to altruism, I think there's a danger here, and specifically, I think that the altruism that is in our society is essentially taken from religion. That the religion basically even if you're not religious yourself, you're just in like
Mm-hmm.
the environment, or like the pond. You're stepping in the water of religion, or even if it's watered down religion, or it's just something that is like in the environment. Now, obviously, there are countries with different religions, and there's two ways. Like I'll give an example from two different religions. So if for example, I'm gonna give extreme examples. So just be aware.
Yeah.
If
Don't worry.
if for example I have a religion that says you should sacrifice your life to God. If you sacrifice your life to God, you will get rewarded in the afterlife. You cannot experience the pleasures of the afterlife now because you're alive. But the world of the living is not important. It's a short period of time, whereas the afterlife is eternal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you serve God and do those things, um, you'll get you go to paradise. You'll have virgins waiting for you, and they'll do whatever you want them to do to please you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the way to get into paradise is if you fight and kill people who are against God, who against what God says. Now, if you kill those people, or if you die fighting those people, which is, let's say, the highest thing. Not only are you going to go to paradise, you bring honor to your family, you bring honor to your tribe, honor to your community,
Mm-hmm.
and you will also give 70 of your family members access to this paradise. Okay. And in this paradise, like I'll describe, like you never sweat. No one ever sweats. No one ever uses the toilet. Everything's clean. Everything's perfect. You're never hungry. You've got all these delicious foods all the time. I'll just like describe it in lots of ways, and
Yeah.
I'll put it in your brain that when you see opportunities to fight for God, you will get like a feeling. Okay, I got to do this now, and if you carry it out, you will feel good doing it. You will feel good killing other people who are against God in this sense. Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
one.
Yes.
Different example would be Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa um, lived a very difficult life. She lived in very like poor conditions, but she helped
Yes.
a lot of people. Right? She helped a lot of poor people. Not she didn't raise them out of poverty. They were still in poverty, but they were in a bit better situation than they were before. So which of the two? And I'm telling you right now, both have people who admire them. Which of the two would you say is admirable, and which would
The
you
second.
say is manipulative and destructive?
I would say the second one is admirable, although I would not bet on it, but I would, knowing the story of Mary Theresa, I would be inclined to say that, but simply because the first one is hypocritical virtue. It is not virtuous because you act upon what is believed to be virtuous only to get a reward, and so that takes away what's believed to be virtuous. Like, you're not doing something virtuous just because you're doing it because you know you'll get something in return,
Well, but
and
you
so you
you
don't.
won't you won't get something in return in this lifetime.
Nobody will get something in return in the afterlife, which to you it's bigger if you
Well, but
believe in a
but
god.
let me just preface this. So
Mm, mm,
so is it the case that even if you take Christian theology, is it not the case that if you suffer hard throughout life and help people selflessly, that at the very least, when you die, you'll reach heaven?
Yes, but there's a difference. If you help, like, there's a difference in helping people because you want to go to heaven and go to heaven because you help people. Like, if I start helping people, like helping homeless people, just because I'm like, okay, God will judge me and will send me to heaven, then I'm being hypocritical because I'm not doing this out of goodness of my heart, out of will, out of virtue. I'm doing it because there's a reward of the end, or I believe there's a reward of the end. If you're like, God's whatever, I do this because I want to do it in the first place, and then if God finds it just, then it's all the better. But God or no God, I would do it either way. Then that's virtuous.
Okay, so let's take the first example and forget going to paradise. Let's say if you kill these other people who are
Mm-hmm.
who are like like against God, you'll
Mm-hmm.
bring a lot of honor, and you die fighting. You will bring a lot of honor to your family, to your tribe, and your community. Is that selfless?
Mm, mm, I mean, I mean, okay. So if you kill people to do something
Let
that
me let me
you
let me
believe will
try.
benefit, yeah.
Let me add a layer. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
if you not only will you bring honor, but you'll
Mm-hmm.
save 12 of your closest friends from dying.
Well, then it's different because you have linkship, so of course you'll be more inclined to do it. But it's like usually virtue is more about self-sacrificing in a way because again it's the most counterintuitive thing. Like any moral or any virtue, like discipline, like altruism, like temperance, always kind of presumes you put others in front of yourself because that's counterintuitive. That's
Okay,
was the original point. So.
why should I take this point seriously at all? Because it doesn't help me live a good life. I can't benefit from it
Mhm.
within my lifetime. If I do benefit from it, you're saying it's hypocritical. Why should I even entertain the idea that this is beneficial in any way? Like, you can say it's moral, and you can admire people, but I don't have to admire those kinds of people. It doesn't make
No,
it cannot make rational sense to me to say that I must suffer. Why must I suffer for life? Is there like a benefit suffering for life? Do I like do I gain something from suffering? And then you'll say, well, if you gain something, then it beats the point.
yes,
So why should I do it?
you shouldn't. You should do it because that's the whole point of virtue. There is no reason to do it. You do it because you feel like it. If you don't want to do it, nobody's forcing you.
That
Like
does
people
that.
will be
So it's
like,
it's it's irrational. It's both irrational, and it relies on me growing up in an
no, no,
environment that
no.
that puts
Yeah,
one second that puts the
yeah,
feeling
sorry.
of the feeling of sacrifice as a good feeling into my brain or into my moral system. And
Hmm.
if
Well,
right now we think of it rationally, you and I think, look, it just
mhm.
doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, of course. Well, you don't have to feel guilt tripped into doing something because again, that won't be virtue. Like, if you do something because you're like, oh man, I have to be altruist because otherwise people will think I'm not a good person. Then again, you're not doing it out of goodness of your heart. You're doing it because you don't want people to think you're a bad person. People shouldn't guilt trip other people into being virtuous. Virtue is a positive circle in the sense that it gives example. So you behave in a certain way, hoping that other people will behave in the same way, but you're not imposing virtue. Like Christianity imposed, religion imposes virtue because you're like, God says this is good. If you do it, you're going to heaven. If you don't, you're going to hell. So there's a reward if you obey, and there's a punishment if you don't. So that's coercion, which is
Right,
not good.
but even in this context, like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
there's no evidence that there is an afterlife. So you're taking it
Mm-hmm.
on faith that there is an afterlife, and if you do the things that God said, or that the priest said that God said,
Mm-hmm.
um, then you'll get the reward maybe never, because if you just die, then you just wasted your whole life doing these things.
Well, yeah, but Christians or religious people in general firmly believe that there's an afterlife. Otherwise, they wouldn't be religious.
Right,
So
but if
to them, it's
but
yeah.
I appreciate that, but let's say you and I know scientifically, let's say, that there is just no afterlife.
Mm,
And these
mhm,
people believed something that led them, that made them do, that made them waste their short time on earth,
mhm,
made them suffer, didn't gain
mhm,
anything from it,
mhm,
and overall led a much worse life than they could have if they followed my morality.
mhm.
Right? So maybe we should tell them, look, we understand that for 2000 years and going, that these sorts of theological uh moralities, of codes of conducts, has been you've studied them and you think they're good, but let me speak to you rationally now and persuade you that these are not good for you in the long term. You should not do these things. You should consider thinking more about yourself and consider seizing the day, living a full life, spending time with your loved ones more, doing the things that are beneficial for you, and not sacrifice yourself as you've been doing up till now or as your priests have been telling you to do.
But you're imposing a way of
I'm
life, which is not.
no, I'm trying to persuade people. I'm not forcing anything.
Yes, no, but persuading people into a way of life is not correct. Whereas if you had, like, now you and me just found out that God is not true. Like, we have found a groundbreaking truth. We expose it to the world, and that's it. Like, then if, I know people that are good hearted, they're like, are altruist just because they want to. They don't believe in God, they don't have any purpose for it. They do it just because they like doing it. So that's where the real virtue
Okay,
will actually come out.
can you specify on the non-religious altruists? What do they do, for example?
I'm sorry.
Can you
No, like in the sense, I
no? Just
if
give me an example of the non-religious altruists. What do they do to be
they just
altruistic?
help, they just help people because they want to.
But at the very least, if you help
Hmm.
people, right? Let,
Hmm.
let, there's like a sort of relationship happening between those two people.
No, not necessarily. That's the thing. You don't have to go. That's what altruism is. Not going into it with a mindset. Like,
No,
you're in an yeah,
I,
like you're in an empty street. There's a blind beggar on the street. You give him money because you want to help. They'll never know it's you. They'll never know you gave them money. Nobody will ever know it. You do it because you want to. It's not. There's nothing else behind it. You felt compelled to do it. You
right,
did
but
it,
okay.
and that's the end of it.
Why are you so against the idea that there must be some sort of of trade or interaction to what you would consider giving help? Why does that, in your opinion, lessen the altruism or the interaction? Wouldn't it be better if you did something altruistic and you did receive a
Mm,
reward from it, some sort of reward, because then it will, even from your point of view, then it will
mhm.
increase the likelihood of it happening again.
Yeah, I mean, of course, if there is a reward, then it's all the better. There's no problem with having a reward. The problem is if you do the thing knowing that there's a reward,
You do
like
the thing knowing that there's a reward. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
then no, that's different because it's like I'm giving you 20 bucks because I know I'll get 25. That's an investment. That's not altruism. So
Uh,
you don't do it out of virtue. You do it because you know you'll get something in return. So it's not virtuous. It's I know something.
why is
I'm doing it.
so why is it not virtuous? Because it could be the case that that you giving someone $20 then and there is super important moment in their life. Like you changed. This was a epoch in their life, and you giving them that money when no one else did, changed their life. Why is that a bad thing?
It's not because you don't know if that,
Just because you get $25 back, the $25
no.
could be completely insignificant to that person when they gave you the additional $5 that you gave them.
Yes, but it's like imagine you're at a gas station.
No, no,
Somebody
wait.
comes up to
Just
you.
stay.
Yeah, Yeah.
stay in this point. Like why?
Yeah, but yes, but I'm trying to explain it with an example. Like you're at the gas station,
Hmm.
somebody comes up to you and it's like, "Give me $20. I'm really in need. I'm hungry, or I need to buy a suit for a business meeting."
Okay.
You give it to them. They could be a scammer. They could be someone really in help. They could be you don't know what it is. You give them because you feel it's right. Then you do it with the consciousness that that person might have just scammed you out of $20. They run away. You'll never see them again. You did it because you felt to. If then that person comes back and it's like, "Yeah, actually, I was a businessman. I really appreciate it. You have helped me. Here's $100." That's good. There's no problem. That's altruistic because you did that without knowing if you'd have a reward. Then there was a reward, so that's even better because maybe now you'll be even more inclined to do it more often. But on the spot, you were like, "I did this because I want to do this, not because I know the guy is a businessman and he'll come back to me."
How about in that scenario, like some guy has to go, let's say they're homeless and they're trying to escape
Yeah.
homelessness, and you giving them money, and you won't get it back. You giving them money will help them get a job interview, and there is a good chance that the reward will be that that person will be your friend in the future. Yeah, so because they're in your town, you know of them, you've seen them before, and next time you see them, they'll be happy to see you, and you can spend time with them. Would that be a reward that ruins the altruistic thing that you want people to go by?
Well, that is different because you're viewing friendship as a materialistic exchange. Like, I'm doing this only
I'm
because you're gonna be my friend. So what is important in you being my friend? Is it just because I want to spend time with you, or is it because you will feel obligated with me because I helped you that one time, and so you'll be friends with me because you know I'm a good person?
Okay. Let
Like,
me just ask. So let's take the
hmm,
worst case scenario. Like they will owe you something. They'll be obligated to owe you something. It's like so what?
I'm not seeing like
Is
what you
that
mean.
is
Like,
that is that an issue for you?
if you gave them the money expecting them to get it back, then yes,
No,
because you did it.
you don't expect it to get you don't expect to get the money back, but they will owe you something.
But did you do it because you're like, now you owe me,
Well,
or
I don't understand what the motivation changes anything. You seem to
it's
you seem to suggest that the motivation is pivotal
yes.
to something. I don't know, but like if and I'm not exactly sure. Like if you again, let's just go back because I think we're going in the wrong direction here.
Mhm.
You can make decisions with people you run into. If they need help, they ask you for help. You can choose to help them for whatever reason. You can choose to help them, and you can choose not to help them. Someone can say, "Look, I need you to sell your home. Give me all the money from the sale of your home and go live in an apartment because I need to pay for a cancer surgery." I don't know this person because I need to pay for a cancer surgery. And if you don't do those things, then I will just die. And I'm like, look, I'm sorry. This is my house.
Mhm.
I'm with my family here. I'm not gonna sell my house just to give you the money and then go live in a apartment. Even if I can financially afford it, as
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna do that. That's not something I want to do. Even at the cost that I understand it may cost your life, I suggest you ask someone else.
Mhm.
Right? So like I may choose to help people or not help people for motivated reason, for not motivated reason. That's like my choice. But if you're telling people either through a system where you force them to help people, as in you just take money away from them and then you decide where that money goes to, or you convince them that if they help people they will get rewarded in the afterlife, or a variety of things that you and I can debunk rationally sitting now, then I would say that you're manipulating people, and that's not a good thing. That is not a moral thing to do.
Again, I agree if you're manipulating people into believing, into making them virtuous in exchange of something. That's not being virtuous.
Okay,
That's being.
let's just say that the way you use the word virtuous is manipulative.
Why is that?
For the reasons that I've stated, that it makes people do these things, which is non-beneficial to them.
But it's not nobody is forcing people to be virtuous. You're held in, like, if I look at someone
No,
is
right.
virtuous.
It's not you. I understand what you're saying. You are manipulating people by putting some bad ideas in their head that is bad for their life.
No,
That is immoral.
it's it's not bad to be not more. It's bad to be immoral. It's not bad to be non-more,
I
like to be non-virtuous. Like,
if I were to say, if you take this suicide vest and go blow yourself up in a crowd of people, you are virtuous
why?
because a variety of reasons. This will make you very virtuous, and you'll be rewarded, not rewarded, held in high esteem by your every reason, and you will be virtuous to do what God said, which I as someone who communicates with God is telling you to
Mhm.
go take this suicide vest and blow up in that mall of people. Does that
You're,
sound like a moral thing for that
no,
person's life? Now
no,
I
because
didn't
you're
force them. I didn't force them. I'm not
no, but
carrying.
your no, you didn't force them. But your preamble is, if you do this, you're gonna be virtuous. People will respect you. So that person has something to gain.
Okay,
Maybe that
can
person.
we cut the Kantian nonsense out for a second. Well, oh no, you're gaining that. It's irrelevant to me. I just add
No,
whatever you like.
but that's but
Just add whatever reason you like here. Insert here virtuousness, yeah. And I'm telling you that if you blow yourself up and other people, you're virtuous. Whatever virtuous entails in your world, just enter it in my sentence, and they agree and they do it. I haven't forced them. They've done it, but I've manipulated, and now they've ended their life as well as other people's lives.
no, because again, there's you're being the external factor. If they found that to be virtuous, they do it without you. Like, if tomorrow I believe it's virtuous, ignoring you, ignoring what anybody says, if tomorrow I'm like, it's
Okay,
virtuous to blow myself up, I will
let
do it
let's say
regardless of what you think.
let's say you come to my place of worship. I'm the
Mhm,
priest. You come to my
mhm.
place of worship, and I say, these people in that strip mall, they're heathens. They're hurting God. If only someone was virtuous enough to take care of them. And then like I put like over like half a year of weekly sermons, I put this in your head that it would be virtuous to get rid of them, and then you come to the conclusion in quotations to do this thing to hurt those people. I didn't tell you. I kind of just suggested that God sees these people as heathens and infidels, and you need to, and someone, wink wink, needs to take care of them. And
Yeah, you think,
only
but
a
you
really virtuous person would be able to rise up, and you say, "Oh, I really wish to be that person," and they carry it out.
yes, but you're setting it in a way that's manipulative. So
E-
your
Either
way,
either
I don't.
either either it's always manipulative. It's always going to be manipulative.
No, it's not, because if tomorrow I feel like doing something that's altruistic, something like that, nobody knows, nobody forced me to,
Right, but
just because I want it.
someone put the idea in your head.
No, nobody
Of
did. That's
course,
the thing.
of course they did.
No,
You wouldn't arrive to this conclusion yourself rationally. Someone put the idea in
uh,
your head.
that's what virtuous means. It's doing something that's irrational. I know it's hard to, you're making it extremely
Okay,
hard
okay,
to
so, okay.
comprehend.
Okay,
Mhm,
let's forget about that for a second. Okay,
mhm.
I'm saying that this definition of virtuous is useless and we shouldn't use it. It's manipulative, and it hurts someone leading a good life. We should remove this really bad definition of virtuous and say virtuous is being selfish. That's what it means.
Yeah, okay, but that's your outlook of life. I know people that would find it more detrimental to themselves to actually focus on themselves and ignore everybody else. That's
How is
actually also
how
quite.
how could that possibly be the case? If they don't focus on themselves, how can they lead a good life?
Because some people are more interested into helping other people
No,
than
hold on, hold on.
focusing on themselves.
hold on, hold on. So just you can admit that
Mm-hmm.
if someone doesn't consider taking actions that will lead them having a good life, and instead invest their energies doing something other than having a good life, then they would not lead a good life.
Like you're saying, no, to me, but maybe not to them. Like people don't have to see the world through my lens.
So
If
you're
I'm
saying
seeing someone,
so you're saying they feel like they're having a good life because they're helping other people.
yes, that's
Okay,
up to them. That's
and again, and if someone spends their entire life as a aesthetic monk and they torture themselves, they drink bad
mm,
water, they eat
mm,
very little or bad
mm,
food, very low calories, they do nothing that gives themselves comfort,
mm-hmm,
and in their mind they think they're happy,
mm-hmm.
then you would say they've led a good life. But they've obviously not. They obviously someone's manipulated the moral system
Why? Obviously
and
not.
told,
I mean
because even
that,
even just on the most basic biological level, you have a concept of pain and pleasure, and they're obviously violating that.
but that's why it's called a virtue, because you're violating something that's natural. You're doing something that's outside of programmed inside of you
Right,
to lead
you're
something different.
manipulating people to such a degree that you're overriding their basic biological functions like pain and pleasure. Like pain is good, pleasure is bad. Like it's that degree of manipulation.
No, it's it's completely different. Like it's not. It's natural to like as you said. Like why are monks so seen in a different way? Because I don't want to
That's not
eat.
important. That's not important to
No,
my point, though.
no, but yes, but I understand. Like it's natural. It's animalistic to be uh intimidated or admirant of what we find difficult or irrational. We find it the least interesting
Okay,
because
let me try and keeping in the
mm,
religious vein. If someone whips
mm,
themselves,
mm, mhm,
like as part of the religious thing, like they've done something
mm,
wrong, and at night they take off their shirt and they whip themselves, and there's scars over their body, right? So here we have a
yeah,
situation where you're causing pain, perhaps shortening your life. Like there's no, like you and I will look at this from a distance and say this is insanity. Like there's no way
yeah,
that they're enjoying life. This is a very poor quality of life. They should not be whipping themselves. Okay, just in this context, right? Because someone told them
yes,
they need to whip themselves because they've acted bad in some sort of way, and now they're paying the price. So
mm,
so obviously, like this is a bad thing to do, but they think because they were told a particular ideology that they are doing good, and perhaps even the ideology is seeped into their nervous system or into their brain that they will feel good later at some point. Perhaps that is so massively manipulated that will happen to them, but it's not good for them. Like you and I can judge from a distance that this is a bad thing for them to do to themselves.
mm-hmm.
They're not leading a good life at acting as aesthetic monks and whipping themselves. It is causing them misery. No one's I don't know, and I also don't know like how you can even from a distance convince people, oh my god, I should really value what these people are doing, and copy them. Like there's nothing to copy here. It's awful.
You, no, you don't have to admire that. You just have to accept that some people enjoy life or
No, no, no.
find
But
benefit,
that's not that.
find interest.
It's not possible. I can't
You,
I
you
can't
you
entertain
don't
the
know it.
idea because I can't, and I'll tell you why I can't entertain that idea,
Mm, mm,
because we all have pain and pleasure as all living creatures. Like my dog has pain and pleasure. Like
yes.
there's no way that you can say that we've brainwashed someone so severely, and through
Mm-hmm.
some sort of ideology or some sort of religion, and then you say, well, they enjoy life this way. No, they're not. They're clearly not.
You don't know. Like,
Oh
I
my
mean,
god.
brother, hold on. You took like an extreme example by whipping, but like
Well, I'm
something.
trying to make a point.
Yes, I understand, but like, if I do something like I don't know, I forgot my keys.
Okay.
Since I forgot my keys, I'm gonna punish myself and I'm gonna sleep outside. Should I call, like, why? Because I'm gonna punish myself because I was stupid and I didn't take my keys.
Why
That's
should?
called self-regulation, and like, it's a stupid, like,
How does that?
obviously if you're like,
How does that benefit
if
you
you,
from punishing yourself?
it's because I want to do it because I believe that self-inflicting myself this pain will improve myself, because now I won't forget the keys anymore. Obviously, if you come across on the
You
street, you're
you
like,
you'll
what the
already
hell are
you'd already not forget the keys because you're upset with yourself for forgetting the keys. So what you should be doing is find ways of either entering the house if you gave your friend a key, or spending the night somewhere else. You should not spend the night. I mean, unless you have no other options at all, you should not spend the night outside to punish yourself for forgetting the keys. That's just doesn't make any sense. Like, you've already upset that you forgot the
Of course, it
keys,
doesn't make any sense, but that's my choice. Like,
but
like,
your
for
choice
example, David Gog,
should be rational, and it should benefit you, don't you think?
like, but I think it benefiting me. Like, I don't want to be indulgent with myself because, of course, if I'm like, I'm calling with someone else because I have a backup, I'm gonna be like, all right, keys. I'll try not to forget them, but I know my friend is 2 blocks away. I'll go sleep to them again. Like, it's
No,
a
it's two
way of
blocks
self.
away.
Of course,
The 2 blocks away
like,
should be enough. Should be enough punishment. The walking 2 blocks away should be enough punishment to make sure you don't forget, and the embarrassment of asking your friend for a key. But after you walk the 2 blocks, then 2 blocks back, by all means enter the house.
yes, of course, it doesn't mean I'm not stepping into my house again, but
No, no,
you
but
need to.
you don't need to stay the night outside to punish yourself, so you won't
Mhm.
forget the keys.
Yes, that's something logical. But if I want to do it, I'll do it. You'll tell me it's stupid. Yes, it is. I feel like doing it.
Okay,
Like,
are we not rational animals?
yes, but
Should we not use rationality to live a good life? Is that not
I mean,
the tool to live a
uh,
good life?
I mean, to some people, to some extent.
No, all
Obviously,
just
I mean,
all people,
I'm
just all, as a like a philosophical blanket
mm,
statement.
no, you can't. You can't, like, not one shoes fits all. Like, to me and to you, of course.
Okay,
Like, ration.
do all humans have the capacity to be rational?
Yes.
And when we are rational, like, we solve problems, we improve things,
Mm-hmm.
we can think clearly about the future and what benefits our life. Should we not use that mode as often as possible
Mm-hmm.
to then live a good life?
No, because then you're manipulating people into being like,
Oh my god.
sacrificing your.
Okay,
You're saying. Yeah.
let me rephrase. I think I wasn't communicating very well. We've got two modes of thinking. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more than two, but two for the argument's sake. One
Mm-hmm.
is rational
Mm-hmm.
and the other is not rational.
Yes.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make the case that thinking rational is a good way to live a good life. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying we always think rational. We obviously have the capacity to, but
Mm-hmm.
but the times when we don't use our rationality or think irrationality, that has a much higher chance to make life changing mistakes that we will regret.
Yes. Okay. But
Okay,
you're trying to make a thing of being like, you're trying to algorithmicize life. You're being like, you have to always maximize the outcome of what you're doing. Like, you can't choose something just because you want to, because it's not optimizing the way you could live. Like, instead of.
I actually made the case that I don't always have to think long term. I sometimes can enjoy the here and now, but enjoying the here and now, like that, at the very least, like, if let's say I've had a bad day and I want to eat again, we go back to the ice cream. I want to eat some ice cream to make myself feel better. That could be
Mm,
perfectly fine because I've had a bad day. Even if it hurts me in the long term, I just had such a bad day that I do need
mhm,
this pick me up
yeah.
to continue function. That could be a perfectly rational decision.
Mm-hmm.
right? And again, we were talking about the long term, and this hurts the long term because you've eaten ice cream in the short term. But in the short term, I've also had a very bad day, and I want to improve my situation so that I don't suffer through life. Like I'm currently experiencing a high degree of suffering and pain, and I want to lessen that because I want to enjoy life more.
Yes,
Okay,
but you do it knowing that in the long term that will pain you. So how is that rational? Knowing that it will
it it,
maybe
it,
the
it
outcome will be worse than.
it is rational because I still need to live my life, and right now in the short term I'm experiencing a lot of pain, so I want to reduce that pain.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand it will set me back in the long term, and maybe the next day when I'm feeling better, I'll do some more something else to put me back on track. But at that point in time, like you can't thinking long term is also not the opposite of the monk, the aesthetic monk, where I must like not eat any ice cream, not eat any, eat as little as possible,
Mm-hmm.
train myself the whole time and be in pain. Like it could be like
Yeah.
more of a little bit of pain, like when I go to the gym, and a little bit of pain
Mm-hmm.
when I don't eat certain things. But it doesn't mean that I have to suffer throughout
Mm-hmm.
my whole life either, which I don't think is good. Which I don't think is good. It defeats the purpose.
Yeah. Okay, I understand, but like that's the way we live our life. Like, of me too. Like, if I come back home and I had a bad day, of course I'm like, I want to go easy on myself because I'm not a machine. I know I won't react well to it because then I will be tired and I won't enjoy this. Some people find more pleasure in the long run, will prefer being like, no, I can't eat the ice cream even if I'm dying to get that one. I still won't do it because I know I shouldn't do it, and
But
on the long run that will hurt me regardless of what I'm feeling right now. And so some people want to live life that way. That's not the way I want to live it, but you can't. I'm like, okay, that's your point, not my way of doing it.
okay,
But
so we can say that there may be like
mm,
some people have a higher pain threshold than other people. But with
yeah.
regards to the point about rationality, and you can make you can make the argument, say, look, I rationally thought about it, and I'm fine staying in this level of pain a bit longer without eating the ice cream. That could be your choice, right? But at least you thought about it rationally and not irrationally.
Mhm. Well, of course you shouldn't think irrationally, but like
Okay,
you
then
have
then
to.
whipping yourself and following people who are manipulating you is irrational, I would say.
But maybe that person doesn't think that's irrational because it's like, okay, I'm hurting myself in the short term, but that will help me build a discipline.
But that person
You don't
isn't
know.
that person isn't
And
thinking that person isn't thinking about it at all. That person is taking ideas from other people and assuming
what?
that
And how do you
the
know it about?
because they didn't you can't come to the rational decision of God telling you to do something. That's not rational definitionally. A supernatural
But
being told you should do these things, that's already not rational.
okay, but you're imprinting this into religion. Monks are not religious. Monks follow a
Well,
conduct of life. They don't believe in a god. They,
I mean, most monks are, but
mm,
unless you're thinking about
not.
specific like Asian monks or something.
Yeah, I don't know which monks you're like. If you're talking about, I don't know, Christian monks or Protestant monks or whatever. Like, of course, if you're thinking of a big guy with superpowers in heaven,
No,
then that's a different
yes.
thing. But like,
Okay, so
then
and
yes,
and can we also agree? Can we also agree that there are things in our society that got their origins from religion, got their origin from God said, "Here are the Ten Commandments, and you should do these things, otherwise I will be upset with you in the afterlife." And then
yeah,
you secularize those ideas, but you lose the origin that it came from God, or someone said it came from God,
mm-hmm.
and you keep doing these things because you think it's a good idea. But if you think about it, it may not be a good idea.
If you think about it and you believe it's not a good idea, it's your choice to stop. Like, there's no, there's nobody, there's not a law that says follow the Ten Commandments. Like, you have to be altruistic, you have to be disciplined. I've
Okay,
known
so I
people that
so
are
I so
completely
I
selfish. They are not in jail.
so I would say that being altruistic in the sense that you're describing, and like doubly so because you can't benefit from being altruistic, is irrational and you
Mm.
shouldn't do it.
Okay, that's your point. That's it's
And
not a problem.
I will rationally make that argument because it doesn't benefit your life. It doesn't.
Hmm.
You only have one life. You should make the most of it, and this absolutely does not benefit your life. At the very least, if let's say you had a friend, your friend needed help, you have a relationship with that person, you want to see your friend succeed because you spend time with them, that would make a good case to helping them. Or like that's like it's not even a sacrifice. Sure, of course I'll help my friend. Of course I'll help my wife. These are not this. It's not even a sacrifice. It's, of course I'll do these things. But like if
Hmm.
the expectation is you can't benefit from helping people at all, then that already is, I reject that as manipulative outright. And then like if you
Hmm.
want to help others, there's like degrees to it. And perhaps
Hmm.
like if there's an emergency, like you can help someone in an emergency, no problem, as long as you're not killing yourself, great. But
Hmm.
there can be rules to these things. There can be rational approaches to these things. But I think that the things that we have in our society that come from religion, even if we've secularized it, I definitely come
Hmm.
from religion, where we should have a long, rational think on them and see if it does in fact benefit your life. And if it doesn't, then stop doing them.
Okay, but again, that is your approach to things, which is not bad. It's not necessarily bad. Like, you're saying prioritize your well-being and you'll be happy because you have one life.
Yes.
That's fair. That's good. That's no problem. But but saying like help other people, why? No, you don't say help other people, but if someone wants to help other people, they can. And they'll do it just because they can, and you will look, and I will personally, just like other people, maybe not you, probably not you, if you see someone helping somebody else, you're like, okay, that's cool, you should have spent that time on yourself because that's your opinion on morality. To you, that person is doing something completely useless and counterproductive, so they're self-sabotaging themselves for not any benefit. To me, they're doing something that people wouldn't do, and to me that's a value. That's virtuous, because again, the time they spent helping someone else, I spent helping myself. So, but that's the whole thing of virtue: doing something that normal people wouldn't do
Well,
because they're.
I reject that definition of virtue out of hand. And in addition, I would up the ante and
Mhm.
say that if your culture and or religion tells you to go attack and kill these people or blow up these people at the risk of you dying, or if you are to die, if you die while fighting them, that's the noblest thing you can. I would say that that is evil,
Mhm.
and that those religions and or cultures should be evaluated sternly through a rational lens, and that people should abandon that point of view. And not only should they abandon that point of view, but people who encourage it, either religious figures or parents, should be seen as evil and how can I say it, like discourage that sort of behavior as soon as humanly possible. And if people around the world hear that someone died
Mhm.
through like blowing themselves up and took out these people, and they see, oh my god, this is a very noble thing, automatically those people are evil and they should stop glorifying that sort of behavior.
And I agree, but again, you'd have to try and consider what, like, obviously,
There cannot be
Mhm.
you cannot tell me that the answer here is it depends on their point of view. That just can't be the answer. It just cannot.
I mean, of
There
course,
must be some standard here where we say
y-
y- people shouldn't die. You shouldn't encourage people to die for God
mm,
and to kill other people, to fight other people kill them and die as a result. Like that's that, and then you'll be rewarded in the afterlife. This
Yes,
should not.
that's
This should
no,
not be
that's not.
the. This should not be
And
the thing that exists in our world today.
I completely agree, because the basics for that virtues is destroying somebody else, which is not correct, which is against basic human principles and every possible principle in humanity. So because you find that virtuous because you're dehumanizing your kin. So of course that's rationally going to be, and even humanly going to be, completely abominative. Whereas, so because you're not only sacrificing yourself, you're sacrificing other people. And that's not correct, because you don't have the right to do that, because you don't have rights over other people's life. What makes something virtuous is only sacrificing yourself if you want to, or your short-term benefit, for something else. But I can't be like, you don't eat ice cream, so I'm virtuous. That's not how it works. I don't eat ice cream, so I'm virtuous. If you don't eat ice cream, you're virtuous, not me. Like my my virtue doesn't come of the negative effects on other people. That's the opposite. That's destructive.
I think
That's
I think
That's manipulative.
I think the idea of virtue, I'm not sure how it evolves into the way that you're using it, but I think in ancient Greece,
Mm-hmm.
when Aristotle was talking about virtue, he or let's say more specifically virtue ethics. Like
Yeah.
these are principles to sorry, not exactly even principle. These are qualities, sorry, that
Yes.
the more you do, like the better you are at life, or the better you'll experience life. So I think if it's and I'm a bit rusty on this. I think in the case of Aristotle, like the ideal person was a sage to him, and the more sage-like you are, the better you'll enjoy life. Now, as I don't know if it's in his case, virtue ethics was more of something or a balance. I think it was a balance. Like there's
Balance. Yeah,
yeah,
Aristotle was about balance,
yeah. So I
but
think
in mhm. Yeah, sorry.
so. Yeah, I think he had like two extremes and a balance in the middle. And if you achieve this balance, then you will have you will have a good life. But it wasn't necessary to be virtuous in the way you're using it. It was to be. I'm not exactly
Yes.
sure what the right word is here, but
No,
it sounds like
to be good. Yeah.
it sounds like
To be
you're,
virtuous with yourself.
I guess, to be virtuous with yourself, or to be morally good to yourself, or to achieve something. But the way that you're
Yeah.
using the word virtuous, it seems to me it's like way beyond that, from very
Because
different origins.
well, the thing is, if I'm not wrong, Aristotle, like, the assumption was becoming a great individual, because a great individual contributes to a great society. So Aristotle saw it through the lens of community, just like Kant did. Like it's a virtue of, like, contribution to the whole. You build yourself up because you become a better human being, and a better human being makes a better society. So you reason it as a whole. You're part of a virtuous machine. So that's why you become disciplined, because then you'll be a good person, you'll be a good politician,
I
which
I
will lead people.
I think I'm gonna have to argue against what you just said. As far as I
Mm-hmm.
remember,
Mm-hmm.
the idea of Aristotle was developing a good character to deal with difficult times in life. So
Yeah.
if you work on yourself and develop a good character, when some sort of adversity comes your way, or some sort of temptation comes your way, you
Mm-hmm.
would deal with it as if you were a sage.
Yes, but be careful. Being the doesn't mean you necessarily have to sacrifice yourself. Like, but building yourself is to like being a sage, being a great individual, is to ultimately contribute to the whole. So the purpose
But
of
wait,
virtuosity.
I'm under the impression that you build a
Mm,
good character to stay in eudaimonia, which is like a state of flourishing or cultivating
Flourishing, yes.
cultivating a stage, a sort of feeling where you're pleasantly happy, not too happy, and not too sad.
Yes, his point was balance. But again, Aristotle point of balance, of eudaimonia, of all these things were the qualities of a good man. But for him, a good man was ultimate purpose was to become an individual man, a man. No, sorry, not an individual man, a man, an individual of society. So a good individual contributes to a good society, and that's the purpose of virtue.
I'm not sure if that was Aristotle or the Stoics.
I'm okay. I don't remember the Stoics exactly. I'm a bit rusty on them,
And
but I'm.
as far as I know,
Mm, mm,
I think I
yeah.
take Nietzsche for example, because Nietzsche's way of looking at ancient Greece, or the period of ancient Greece, was people were kind of like heroes. They were physically fit. They aimed to be rich. They aimed to be the best version of themselves they can be, and that was seen as a good thing. And then, as Nietzsche talks about, as the slave morality, where Christianity came in and said, if you're poor, you're virtuous. If you don't if you don't have if you're suffering with some sort of physical issue, you're virtuous, and all these things. So then you moved from what you had in ancient Greece, which was trying to improve yourself, trying to do all these things, as we talked about in
Mm,
virtue ethics,
mm, mm,
over to slave moral, what Nietzsche called slave morality, as he was talking about Christianity, which is the meek shall inherit the earth, the poor are the more virtuous, the more moral, and everyone should aim, or because they're seen as virtuous, everyone should aim in that direction of those people, instead of what the Greeks were like, trying to
yes,
improve themselves.
yes, of course. But again, you're coming back to my point. That's because Christian morality stands on wrong purpose. Because you're doing that because you're compelled to be moral because that is good. If you're not that, you're bad. No, if you're moral, you're good. If you're not moral,
Okay,
you're
but
neutral. Like
you're not
mm,
giving like an argument to improve, to work hard to improve your life as a virtuous thing.
what you mean? Like working hard is not virtuous? You mean?
Like working on yourself. So take the virtue ethics. Like
Mm,
you become someone with good character, so you can meet the challenges of
yeah.
life.
Mhm.
And you're improving. The idea of having a good character is that you work on yourself in order to have a good character. But it could also mean, physically fit,
Mhm.
mentally fit, like emotionally fit, these kinds of things. And it could also
Yeah.
mean someone who's successful in life in terms of wealth.
Mhm.
Like that wasn't frowned upon back then. That was like, if you're wealthy, you've done something right, and
Yes.
and more people should, and people would see that
Mhm.
as something to emulate. Whereas
Yes.
here we have Mother Teresa, like living poorly, living barely with any wealth at all, helping people all the time, living a poor quality of life in terms of physical quality of life, and all the things.
Yes.
But she's virtuous, and everyone admires her, and everyone wants to be like. Or even though they will never even close reach what she's done in the thing they admire it.
Yes, because she was a virtuous person. Because if you ask me, I'm not giving away all I possess to give it to the poor or to stay with the poor. That's not something I do. That's
So
something she did, and that's admirable because she did that to help other people. I'm
so
not. I wouldn't do it. And so.
so if Mother Teresa decided to do some
Mm,
physical exercise to get more fit and look
hmm
more attractive, and then she also opened her own shop and made a bit of money, she would be seen as less virtuous.
I don't see. Maybe, but by some people, but I would. That would be stupid. That yes,
Why?
like because you shouldn't because she's not done anything wrong.
Well, she's taken,
Like
but she's stopped helping. While she's exercising, she's not helping other people. While she has a business on the side, she's not helping other people when she could be
But
helping
she
other
has,
people.
but helping other people is not mandatory. That's what it's about being virtuous. She's virtuous because she spends her time that she
But
could be using doing something else,
right,
helping people.
exactly. She could be spending her time on herself, improving herself
Hmm.
physically or in terms of her money situation, but instead she spends her time helping other people. That makes her
Yes.
virtuous.
Yes.
Right. So, but if she doesn't spend as much time or any time at all, then she's less or far less virtuous.
I mean, she's still doing something virtuous because she still helps people, but she's also doing something normal, which is helping herself. It doesn't make like,
So,
okay,
so,
now you're
so
helping
no,
yourself, so you're bad.
so normal is just amoral,
No, it's
and
not a,
virtuous is
yes, sorry.
moral.
Virtuous is moral. Yes, that's the
No,
definition of
right.
virtue, a high moral standard.
Virtuous is moral, and like working out or improving yourself. That's just amoral. No, it's just neutral. Amoral.
Because it's something natural. Why wouldn't you?
It's not natural. You have to do
Like,
those things themselves. You have to choose to do those things.
yes, but it's rational to be like, I want to improve myself.
So
Because why wouldn't you?
rationality and morality are two separate things.
Mm, I mean, yeah, it can be. Like, it depends. I guess. Now, I wouldn't know right
But
now.
bear in
Well,
mind that the implication is that morality is irrational.
mm, well, I don't think it has necessarily to be irrational. Like, it's irrational. Well, it's naturally irrational because morality stems from doing something you wouldn't do, so it can be technically irrational.
Not only is it
So,
something,
but
not only is it something that you wouldn't do, you suffer
mhm,
doing it. There's some sort of
mhm,
pain involved. Like you lose some,
mhm,
you suffer something, you lose
yeah,
something that you know could have used on yourself, or
yes,
uh, and and now you have to spend time and energy regaining the something that you lost. So there's like it's
it's
from my
detrimental.
from
Yes,
my point of view, it's like negative. It's a bad thing
yes, okay,
because like from a person who values like their own
mm,
life, you'd say this
mhm,
literally sucks out of my own life either time, energy. I experience pain because like I either experience pain outright, I experience suffering outright at that moment, or will later
mhm,
to nothing, and I can't benefit from it in any way because that would be not virtuous.
mhm,
And I completely lose. So it's like I've taken my life force. Like if you can just imagine like I'm clenching my fist. Like I've taken from myself my life force and giving it to someone else, and that's it.
mhm, yes.
You
Yeah,
agree?
it
You
sounds
agree? Yes.
stupid. I agree. It sounds stupid because I agree with you. I wouldn't do it, but she
Okay.
did. That's what makes her virtuous. She
And
did something that
and
neither of us would have done
and
to help
virtuous
somebody else.
and virtuous in this context means it's something admirable and something to imitate.
No, it's something admirable. Point stop.
Sorry.
No, it's admirable, but
Yes.
if you want to admire it, you don't have to replicate it. You don't have to feel guilty
Sorry.
because you're not in India
So
helping
what?
other people.
What does virtuous means in terms of other people see it as virtuous? What does that transfer to those other people? Should they try to act like Mother Teresa or should they not?
If they believe it is a good thing,
Well,
like if
it doesn't virtuous imply that they should.
no, there's no rule of being a moral
Okay,
person.
so
People will look.
what does virtuous mean in terms of if Mother Teresa acts virtuously and other
Mhm.
people see her act virtuously, what does that mean? What should that imprint on those other people?
That there is a person who is willing to put other people's benefit over themselves, which means it exists. It doesn't mean it has to be all of us. It means there is someone who did it, which is good. I personally am happy about it because it means there is somebody which, to me, helping other people, prioritizing other people, can be seen as a good thing because maybe you sacrificed your life to make other people's life better.
But
So
if you
you
see it as
gave
a if you
you.
see it as a good thing, then I would
Mhm.
argue that that you're persuading other people to do good things as well.
If they see it as good thing, like if I wouldn't people won't be compelled to be in India and renounce all their
Sure,
belongings if they think you're stupid. Like,
I accept that it's not like a copy paste. Like people won't like become Mother Teresa like just from that, but the aim is because she acts in a
mm,
virtuous way and virtuous is good, that they should do good things too. Self sacrificial things is good, and the more you obviously they can't do it like as much as she did, but any but you're putting them like also in a situation where they're conflicted. Like if they work on themselves, if they have a good life, if they spend time with their loved ones and with their families, and they enjoy life, they're conflicted because they're not doing good things. They're just doing normal things.
yeah, but that's the problem. Nobody.
They're not behaving in a good way. They should behave in a good way. They should sacrifice themselves if they want to be good, and they want to be good.
No,
And
hold on.
unless they're
Mo-
just
mo-
evil and mean people, right? Selfish people.
no, no. Morality is a spectrum. Like, you don't have to be Mother Teresa to be moral. There, like,
I understand.
y-
I'm not saying in the extreme here at all.
yes,
I'm
I
just saying
understand, but
I'm just saying in general,
Mhm.
the idea that Mother Teresa is virtuous means Mother Teresa was good. Mother Teresa is the example of like supreme good. And
Yes,
if you're not doing at least some good, then you're neutral or maybe even bad. Depends. So let's just say neutral for argument's sake. Like
yeah, I wouldn't
if
say
you
bad.
if you're spending time on yourself, if you're going to the gym, if you work on your career, if you spend time with your loved ones and help your wife in
That's not
something
being
and raise children and all these things, that's just neutral. That's just
that. I
neutral.
mean,
And that's
no,
not a good
it isn't.
life.
No, that's a good life. That's a great life.
You said it's neutral. I'm not no none of my examples listed Mother Teresa.
Yes, but like, you worked on yourself. You've been a good. You said you worked on yourself. You created a business. You created a family. You've helped that family. You've helped people because
Yes,
your
but I did it for
industries gave
self
employees.
but I did it for selfish reasons.
But you created good. And you didn't create. You did it for yourself. Which, again, yes, you're not Mother Teresa, but that doesn't mean you led a bad life.
Okay.
You don't have to be Mother Teresa to lead a good life. It's totally fine to create spend time to dedicate life to yourself. Morality is a plus. You don't have to feel compelled to be Mother Teresa because, again, that's the sacrifice. Sacrifice is optional. That's the whole
So
point.
so why did
Like,
you
you don't,
why did you say I led a good life then?
because do you think it's a good life?
I think it's a good life.
Then it's a good life.
But I didn't do anything about anything that resembled what Mother Teresa would do.
Okay, you're not Mother Teresa. Nothing wrong with that. You didn't hurt people. There are people. I've met a lot of people that are like, as long as you leave the world uh same exact identical as the way you found it, like you didn't hurt nobody. That's all right.
That's
That's good.
neutral. That's neutral.
That that's neutral because you didn't hurt somebody. You didn't help somebody. You've helped yourself because life is yours. You've reasoned in a specific way. That's okay. There's
Okay.
you don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel bad. You're not Mother Teresa, but if you're not interested in being Mother Teresa, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, everybody lives life the way they want. Mother Teresa wanted to be Mother Teresa. Not everybody wants to be Mother Teresa. I don't want to be Mother Teresa.
I'm not
I
sure
don't feel bad.
I'm not sure Mother Teresa wanted to be Mother Teresa. I think and if people who've read her autobiography, I think she suffered a lot through life. But if you I think also from what you've said about leading a good life, I think that I'm saying like you should lead a good life from your perspective. Now you can perhaps you can perhaps say from a distance, and if you're trying to be altruistic, you say, well, I have a family, I have a business, I've created these things, and these things are helping other people. Therefore, I've done good things. But from my point of view,
Mm-hmm.
like I have a family because I enjoy most of the time, not always. I enjoy
Yeah.
living with them when they do what I say, obviously. Uh, and I'm proud that of what we've accomplished and where we've got to and stuff like that. And I am happy to live the life that I'm living. And
Yeah.
it could be seen from someone else. Well, you've contributed in this way. Like, look, maybe, but like I've done it because I wanted to do these things for my own reasons. So there can be like an overlap, but I still think that the way that we define virtuousness is I'll still say in the examples in the Christian world perhaps are not as severe as no, sorry, not as severe as the other examples that I gave of other religions.
Mm-hmm.
But I would still stipulate that the manipulativeness and the destruction of parts of my life, of my time, or my life essence, in quotations, not in a mystical sense, but like
Yeah.
of my life, like I'm giving to other people without the expectations of anything back, is I would say it's a negative thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say it benefits more people if more people worked harder, even building their own character. If more people worked harder on those things, like everyone would have a much better life. And you could say, I'm not entirely sure it will violate your principle of having a good society either. Because if you have a society full of people wishing to live the best version of themselves, that could be a good society as well. But that's not my
Yes, because
focus.
everybody. No, okay, sure. That's a good outcome. That's a good unexpected outcome. That's it's not wrong if it's not a bad thing if you did something for yourself and good came out of other people, because good came out of for other people. So that's only positive. It's not like, you did good, like you're clear with your intent. I did this for myself. If other people benefits from it or they don't, I don't care. But if they did, that's like nobody can say nothing to you. They can only be like, okay, he did it for himself, but it still helped people. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, the problem is, yes, if you coerce people into being like, you see, everybody should be like Mother Teresa because Mother Teresa is great. No, Mother Teresa is Mother Teresa. If you want to be Mother Teresa, be Mother Teresa, but don't feel forced about it. If you want to focus on yourself, on your life, on your business, don't feel guilty about it. Do it. People will admire you for it because it can be something that's admirable. Some people will be like, he lived his life, neutral. Something, if some people are like, nah, he did bad because he had to spend time doing helping other people, that's stupid because that's a choice. So
Okay,
there's nothing wrong.
I think it's let's stop here. I think it was a good
Yeah, yeah,
conversation.
yeah. For me
Um,
too.
I prefer these sorts of conversations rather than, even though it was labeled as a debate, and we are from a debating server. I prefer this sort of conversations, and yeah, thank you very much for having one with me.
No, thank you too. It was interesting. Yeah, I also don't like wars. I'm interested in discussions.
Cool.
Right. Good night.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.